The laboratory smelled like metal and fear. Deep beneath the surface of Vryn Prime, the military moon that orbited the Empire's homeworld, K7 stood in the center of the combat ring. Its black scales reflected the harsh white lights above. The creature was 3 meters tall, with claws that could cut through steel and eyes that saw in 12 different spectrums. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Commander Taemin watched from behind the reinforced glass wall. He held a small remote control in his hand. The remote controlled the shock collar around K7's thick neck. Taemin pressed a button. K7 fell to its knees as electricity burned through its body. The creature did not scream. It had learned years ago that screaming only made the pain last longer. Again, Taemin said into the microphone. His voice echoed through the ring. Target practice. 20 seconds. K7 stood up slowly. Its legs shook, but it did not fall. Across the ring, metal panels slid open. 3 combat drones flew out, their weapons already charging. K7 moved. It was fast, faster than anything that big should be. The first drone exploded before it could fire. K7's claw had gone straight through its core. The second drone managed one shot, but K7 was already somewhere else. The creature jumped, caught the drone in midair, and crushed it like paper. The third drone tried to retreat back through the panel. K7 threw the remains of the second drone. Metal hit metal. Both drones fell to the floor in pieces. 18 seconds. Taemin smiled. Excellent. You see, Hyunwoo, 5 years of training, 5 years of conditioning. And now we have the perfect weapon. Officer Hyunwoo stood next to the commander. He was younger, with hard eyes and a straight back. He had been K7's primary handler since the creature was created. He knew every scar on its body because he had put most of them there. It still hesitates sometimes, Hyunwoo said. Yesterday, during the simulation with the civilian targets, it paused for 3 seconds before eliminating them. 3 seconds? Taemin's smile disappeared. He pressed the button again. K7 collapsed in the ring below, its body jerking as electricity coursed through it. We cannot have hesitation. Not where we are sending it. Hyunwoo nodded. More conditioning, sir? No more time. The humans on Earth are becoming more organized. Their resistance in the Korean peninsula has destroyed 2 of our supply stations this month. We need to break them now. Taemin released the button. K7 lay still on the floor, breathing hard. Send it tomorrow. Drop it right into their main base. Let it do what it was made to do. K7 heard everything through the ringing in its ears. It understood their language perfectly. The Vryn had made sure of that. K7 understood 73 languages from 73 conquered worlds. It knew military tactics, weapon systems, and 500 ways to kill a living being. But K7 did not understand why it existed. It knew it was made in a laboratory. It knew it was not born like other creatures. It was built piece by piece, gene by gene, to be the ultimate predator. The creature had no memories before the laboratory. No family, no home, no purpose except the one the Vryn gave it. Kill, destroy, obey. Those were the only things that mattered. And if K7 did not obey, the collar would remind it. The collar always reminded it. Later that night, K7 sat alone in its cell. The cell was small, just large enough for the creature to lie down. There were no windows, no decorations, nothing soft. Just metal walls and a metal floor and a metal ceiling. K7 had lived in this cell for 5 years. It did not know if this was all there was to the universe. Metal walls and pain and the voices of handlers telling it what to do. The door opened. Hyunwoo entered with 2 guards. They carried weapons, but they always carried weapons around K7. Even though the creature had never attacked a handler, they were afraid. K7 could smell their fear. It smelled like sweat and quick heartbeats. Stand up, Hyunwoo ordered. K7 stood. It had learned to obey immediately. Hesitation meant pain. Hyunwoo walked around the creature slowly, inspecting it like a tool. Tomorrow you will be dropped on Earth. Do you understand your mission? Yes, K7 said. Its voice was deep and rough. It did not speak often. The handlers did not like when it spoke. Tell me. Locate human resistance base. Eliminate all targets. Destroy communication equipment. Return to extraction point. And if you encounter civilians? K7 paused. 3 seconds. That was the hesitation Hyunwoo had mentioned. The creature knew the answer it was supposed to give. Eliminate all humans. No exceptions. Hyunwoo's hand moved to the remote on his belt. Why did you pause? Processing the question, K7 lied. The truth was more complicated. During the simulation yesterday, the civilian targets had been holograms of children. Small humans, not even fully grown. They had screamed when K7 approached. The screams were just recordings, not real, but something inside K7 had felt wrong. Different. The creature did not understand what that feeling was. Hyunwoo studied K7's face. Could he tell it was lying? Finally, he nodded. Good. Remember, K7, you are Vrin property. You were made by us. You belong to us. Everything you are exists because we allow it. Do not forget that. I will not forget, K7 said, but that was another lie. Because lately, K7 had been thinking about things it should not think about. Questions it should not ask. What was it like beyond the metal walls? Were there places without pain? Were there beings who did not carry shock remotes? K7 knew these thoughts were dangerous. The handlers called it malfunction when a weapon started thinking for itself. Malfunctions were corrected, painfully. So K7 pushed the thoughts down. Deep inside, where the handlers could not see them, it would go to Earth, it would complete its mission. It would be the weapon it was made to be. Because that was all it knew how to be. Hyunwoo left with the guards. The door locked. K7 sat back down in the darkness of its cell. Above, through the thick layers of metal and rock, were stars. K7 had never seen stars. It had seen pictures in the tactical database, but never the real thing. The creature wondered if stars were cold like metal or warm like the electricity from the collar. Tomorrow it would find out. Tomorrow it would leave this moon for the first time. Tomorrow it would see a sky. Tomorrow everything would change. But K7 did not know that yet. So it sat in the darkness and waited for morning, and tried not to think about the small humans in the simulation who had screamed, and tried not to wonder if there was anything in the universe besides pain and metal walls, and the voices of handlers who called it a weapon instead of a name. The drop pod shook violently. K7 was strapped inside, its large body pressed against the metal restraints. Through the small window, the creature could see Earth growing larger. Blue and green and white, so different from the gray metal of Vrin Prime. K7 had studied Earth in the tactical database. It knew the planet had oceans and forests and mountains, but seeing it with its own eyes was different. The colors were brighter than any picture. Warning lights flashed red inside the pod. The computer voice spoke in Vrin language. Descent trajectory optimal. Target zone approaching. Weapon deployment in 90 seconds. K7 felt something strange in its chest. Not pain from the collar. Something else. Was this what other creatures called fear? Or excitement? The creature did not know. It had never felt anything except pain and emptiness before. Suddenly the pod jerked hard to the left. Alarms screamed. The computer voice changed. Warning. External interference detected. Course deviation. Warning. Warning. Something had hit the pod. K7's eyes widened as it saw a flash of light outside the window. The humans had shot at it. Their defense systems were more advanced than the Vrin intelligence had reported. Another impact. The pod spun wildly. K7 could hear metal tearing. The restraints dug into its scales as gravity pulled in every direction. Critical damage, the computer said. Its voice was calm even as the pod fell apart. Landing zone compromised. New trajectory calculated. Impact in 30 seconds, K7 pulled at the restraints. It needed to get free before impact. The creature's claws cut through the straps like they were string. The collar around its neck sparked. The electric shock made K7's muscles freeze for a moment. But then the collar sparked again and went dark. The pod's damaged power system had shorted it out. For the first time in 5 years, K7's neck did not carry the weight of punishment. The ground came up fast, too fast. K7 braced itself against the pod walls. The impact was like being hit by a mountain. Metal screamed. The pod crashed through trees, bounced off rocks, and finally slammed into the side of a steep hill. Everything went black. When K7 opened its eyes, smoke filled the pod. The creature pushed against the door. It would not open. K7 pushed harder. The metal bent and then broke away completely. Fresh air rushed in. Real air, not the recycled metal taste of the ship. This air smelled like earth and trees and water. K7 had never smelled anything like it. The creature climbed out of the wreckage and looked around. It was in a forest. Tall trees surrounded the crash site. A small stream ran nearby, making soft water sounds. In the distance, mountains rose against a blue sky. K7 looked up and stopped moving. The sky, it was so big, so open, so blue. Nothing like the gray metal ceiling of its cell or the black space between worlds. K7 stood there for a long time, just looking at the sky. Something inside it felt different, lighter. The collar around its neck hung loose and dead, no voices in its ear telling it what to do, no handlers watching its every move. For the first time since it was created, K7 was alone. But what did that mean? What was it supposed to do now? The mission. Yes, it still had the mission. Find the human base, eliminate the targets. But where was the base? K7 accessed its internal navigation system. Error. The crash had damaged it. The creature did not know where it was. It did not know which direction to go. Pain shot through K7's left shoulder. The creature looked down and saw a piece of metal stuck in its scales. Blood black like its scales dripped onto the ground. K7 pulled the metal out. The wound was deep but not fatal. It would heal in a few days. The Vryn had made sure K7 healed fast. A weapon that stayed broken was useless. The creature started walking. It did not know where to go, so it just walked. Away from the crash site. Away from the smoke. The forest was quiet except for small animals moving through the bushes. K7's predator instincts came alive. It could hear everything. A bird in a tree 50 meters away. An insect crawling on bark. Water flowing over stones. This world was so full of sounds, so different from the silence of its cell. Hours passed. The sun moved across the sky. K7 had never seen a sun before. It was warm on its scales, not hot like the training lasers, but gentle. Pleasant. The creature did not know things could be pleasant. Then the wind changed direction. K7 stopped walking and raised its head. A smell, food, cooked food. K7's database identified it. Rice, vegetables, some kind of fish. The smell made the creature's stomach hurt. It had not eaten since before the drop. The Vryn only gave it food after completed missions. Hunger was part of the training. A hungry weapon fought harder. K7 followed the smell. Its training said to be cautious, to scan for threats, to approach from cover. But its stomach pushed it forward. Through the trees, the creature saw a small wooden cabin. Smoke came from the chimney. A vegetable garden grew beside it. Clean clothes hung on a line. This was a human home. The mission programming activated in K7's mind. Human detected. Eliminate target. But the broken collar did not shock it for thinking other thoughts. K7 moved closer, staying hidden behind the trees. Through a window it could see inside the cabin. A girl. A human girl, young, maybe 14 years old. She stood at a small stove stirring a pot. Her black hair was tied back. She wore simple clothes. She was alone. No weapons visible. No other humans nearby. Just a girl cooking dinner in a cabin in the forest. K7 watched her. The girl hummed a song while she cooked. She did not look dangerous. She did not look like a soldier or a resistance fighter. She looked like the civilian targets in the simulation. The ones that had made K7 hesitate. The creature's training said to attack, to complete the mission. Every human was a target. But K7 did not move. It just stood in the shadows and watched this girl cook and hum and exist in her small cabin. She looked peaceful. That word came to K7's mind from somewhere in its database. Peaceful. Without war. Without pain. Without handlers and shock collars and metal walls. The girl finished cooking and filled a bowl. She walked to the door and opened it. K7 tensed, ready to run or fight. But the girl did not scream. She stood in the doorway and looked right at where K7 was hiding. Could she see it? The creature had advanced camouflage systems. But the girl's eyes seemed to find K7 in the shadows. For a long moment they just looked at each other. The girl and the weapon. The human and the predator. K7 waited for her to run or scream or grab a weapon. That was what humans did when they saw monsters. The database had many examples, but this girl did none of those things. Instead, she tilted her head a little like she was curious. Like K7 was something interesting, not something scary. And then she smiled. Just a small smile, but it was real. "Are you hungry?" the girl asked. Her voice was soft, kind. She spoke in Korean, but K7's language programming understood. The girl set the bowl of food down on the ground outside her door. Then she stepped back inside, leaving the door open. K7 stared at the bowl. This was a trap. Obviously a trap. Humans did not feed Vryn weapons. But the creature's stomach hurt so much, and the food smelled so good. And the girl had smiled. No one had ever smiled at K7 before. Slowly, carefully, K7 stepped out from the shadows. The girl did not attack. She just stood in the doorway and watched. The creature approached the bowl. It expected an explosion or a net or poison. But there was just food. Plain food. Rice and vegetables and fish. K7 picked up the bowl. Its claws were too big and it almost dropped it. The girl made a small sound. Was that a laugh? K7 ate. The food was warm and soft and nothing like the nutrient paste from the laboratory. It tasted like the forest smelled. Like the earth and the water and the growing things. The creature finished the entire bowl in seconds. When it looked up, the girl was still there. Still smiling. You can come back tomorrow if you want, she said. I always make too much food anyway. Then she closed the door. Not a scared slam, just a gentle close. Like everything was normal. Like a 3-meter-tall alien predator eating from her bowl was the most normal thing in the world. K7 stood there in the growing darkness, holding the empty bowl and felt something crack inside its chest. Not pain, something else. Something warm. Something that made the creature want to come back tomorrow. Want to see that smile again. Want to understand why this human girl showed no fear. The weapon training said to eliminate the target. But K7 set the bowl down carefully by the door and walked back into the forest. It would come back tomorrow, just to return the bowl. That was all. Just the bowl. Nothing else. K7 returned the next day. And the day after that. And the day after that. Each time the girl left food outside her door. Each time K7 ate and left. The creature told itself this was tactical. It needed food to maintain combat efficiency. That was all. Nothing more, but that was a lie, and K7 knew it. On the fourth day, the girl spoke while K7 ate. She sat in her doorway, keeping a respectful distance. My name is Jiwoo, she said. I live here alone. Well, not alone anymore, I guess. She smiled. Do you have a name? K7 looked at her. Did it have a name? K7, it said. Its voice made Jiwoo jump a little. The creature had not spoken to her before. Oh, you can talk. Jiwoo's smile grew wider. K7, that sounds like a designation, not a name. Did someone give you that? The Vrin, they made me. Jiwoo's smile faded. The aliens. The ones who invaded us. She was quiet for a moment. Are you here to kill me? K7 could have lied, but something about this girl made lying feel wrong. That was my mission. I was supposed to kill all humans, but you have not. No. Why not? K7 did not know how to answer that. Why had it not completed its mission? The collar was broken, so there was no punishment for failure. But that was not the real reason. The creature looked at Jiwoo, at her open face and curious eyes. You fed me, it finally said. No one has ever done that before. Jiwoo's eyes went soft. No one ever fed you? What did you eat? Nutrient paste. After missions. If I succeeded, they only fed you if you killed people? Jiwoo's voice got higher. Not scared high, angry high. That is horrible. You are a living being. You need food to live, not as a reward. K7 tilted its head. It had never thought about that before. Food was always connected to success, to completing objectives. The idea that it deserved food just for being alive was strange. New. I am not a living being, K7 said. I am a weapon. The Vrin made me in a laboratory. I was built, not born. Jiwoo stood up and walked closer. K7 tensed but did not move away. The girl reached out slowly and touched K7's arm. Her hand was so small against its black scales. So warm. You think and feel and speak, she said. You chose not to kill me even though that was your mission. That makes you a living being. That makes you a person. Person. K7 had never been called that before. It was always weapon or it or the creature. Never a person. Jiwoo pulled her hand back. Would you like to come inside? It is getting cold out here. Every tactical system in K7's body screamed that this was a trap. But the creature stood up and followed Jiwoo into the cabin anyway. Inside was warm. A fire burned in the fireplace. Books lined one wall. A small bed sat in the corner. Pictures hung on the walls. Humans smiling. A family. My grandmother's cabin, Jiwoo said, seeing K7 look at the pictures. This is her and that is my mother and father. And that is me when I was little. She touched one picture gently. They are all gone now. The first Vrin attack. I was at school in the city. When I came home, everything was destroyed. So I came here, to the only place I could remember being happy. K7 understood loss. It had seen many things die during its training. I am sorry, the creature said, because that seemed like the right thing to say. Jiwoo wiped her eyes. Thank you. That means a lot. She gestured to the floor by the fire. You can sit if you want. I need to finish making dinner, K7 sat. The fire was warm on its scales. The creature watched Jiwoo cook, watched her move around the small kitchen with easy practice. She hummed the same song as before. After a while, K7 realized it was not scared. For the first time since it was created, the creature felt something like peace. Days turned into weeks. K7 came to the cabin every day now. Sometimes it helped Jiwoo with tasks. The creature was strong, so it could carry heavy water buckets from the stream or split wood for the fire. Jiwoo would read to it from her books. Stories about heroes and adventures and people who chose to be good even when being good was hard. K7 learned about Jiwoo's life. She was 14 years old. She liked reading and cooking and watching the birds. She missed her family every day but was trying to survive, trying to live, because that was what they would have wanted. She talked about her friends from school, her favorite foods, the places she wanted to visit someday when the war was over. The creature told Jiwoo about its life too. The metal cell, the training, the pain, the handlers who only saw it as a tool. Jiwoo cried when K7 talked about the shock collar. She got angry when it described the combat simulations. They hurt you to make you hurt others, she said. That is evil. You did not deserve that. No one deserves that. One evening, Jiwoo sat next to K7 by the fire. She had been quiet all day. Finally, she spoke. K7, can I ask you something? Yes. Do you want a different name? A real name, not a designation? K7 considered this. Did it want a name? Names were for people. For living beings with families and homes and purposes beyond killing. What kind of name? It asked. Jiwoo thought for a moment. In Korean we have a word, Byol, it means star. When you crashed here, you fell from the sky like a falling star, and finding you felt like something special, something meant to happen. Would you like to be called Byol? Byol star, something bright in the darkness, something that guided lost travelers home. K7 had been lost since it was created. But here in this cabin with this girl it felt found. Yes, the creature said. I would like that name. Jiwoo smiled so wide. Byol, it fits you. She reached out and touched the dead collar around its neck. We should take this off. You do not need it anymore. But the collar was made of advanced Vrin metal. K7 could not break it and neither could Jiwoo. So it stayed. A reminder of what Byol used to be. Winter came to the mountains. Snow fell, turning the forest white. Jiwoo showed Byol how to ice fish on the frozen stream. They stood together on the ice, looking down through the clear spots at the fish below. Jiwoo laughed when Byol tried to use its claws to catch the fish and fell through the ice. The creature climbed out, dripping and cold, but Jiwoo's laughter made it okay. That night they sat by the fire. Jiwoo was reading a book about explorers. Byol listened to her voice, feeling the warmth of the fire and the cabin and the friendship they had built. The creature realized something important. It was happy. Genuinely happy. It did not know such a thing was possible. Jiwoo, Byol said. Yes? Thank you. For everything. For feeding me. For talking to me. For giving me a name. Byol paused. For showing me I could be something other than a weapon. Jiwoo closed her book and looked at Byol. Her eyes were shiny. You were always something other than a weapon. You just needed someone to see it. She moved closer and leaned against Byol's side. The creature went very still, afraid to move, afraid to break this perfect moment. You are my friend, Jiwoo said softly. My family. You fell from the sky and changed my life. Byol carefully, slowly put one arm around the small human, protecting her, keeping her warm. You changed mine too, it said. They sat like that for a long time, the girl and the creature, the human and the weapon that chose to be something more. Outside, snow continued to fall. Inside, the fire burned warm. And for a little while, the war and the Vrin and the pain of the past seemed very far away. But peace never lasts forever. Especially not in war. 3 days later, lights appeared in the sky. Not stars. Not falling snow, ships, Vrin ships. They were searching for something. Searching for their lost weapon. Searching for K7. Jiwoo saw them first. She ran to where Byol was gathering firewood. Byol, ships. They are coming this way. The creature looked up and felt its blood go cold. It recognized those ship signatures. Search and recovery vessels. With combat support. They were not here to talk. They were here to reclaim their property. Or destroy it if reclamation was not possible. Byol looked at Jiwoo. The girl was scared but trying to be brave. The creature made a choice, not because of programming or training or missions, but because this girl had shown it kindness, because she had given it a name and called it family, because for the first time in its existence, Biol had something worth protecting. "Go inside," Biol said. "Stay away from the windows. What are you going to do?" The creature's claws extended, its muscles tensed. Every combat system in its body came online, but this time it was not fighting because it was ordered to. It was fighting because it chose to. "I am going to keep you safe." Jiwoo grabbed Biol's arm. "Be careful, please." Biol nodded and moved toward the clearing where it knew the ships would land. The weapon had been trained for battle, but now it fought for peace. It fought for a small cabin in the mountains, for warm fires and shared meals and stories read aloud, for friendship and family and the chance to be something more than what it was made to be. The ships landed, doors opened, and Officer Hunwoo stepped out, holding a new shock collar in his hand. Yunwoo stepped off the ship with 5 combat drones floating behind him. 2 more Vrin soldiers followed, weapons ready. The officer looked different than Biol remembered, harder, angrier. He carried the replacement shock collar like a promise of pain. "K7, Hyunwoo called out across the clearing. "Stand down. Return to custody. You have malfunctioned, but you can be repaired." Biol stood between the Vrin and the cabin, between the hunters and Jiwoo. "My name is Biol now," the creature said, "and I am not malfunctioning. I am making my own choices." Hyunwoo's face twisted. "Choices? Weapons do not get to make choices. You are Vrin property. We created you. We own you, and you will obey." No. That single word hung in the cold air. No, such a simple word, but it was the first time Biol had ever truly said it. Not because of a broken collar, not because of damaged programming, but because it chose to refuse. Hyunwoo raised his hand. The combat drones moved forward. "Then you will be destroyed and recycled. Your useful parts will go into the next generation of weapons, ones that will not fail us." The first drone fired. Biol moved, faster than the drone's targeting system could track. The creature's claw went through the machine's core. Sparks and metal fell to the snow. The second drone adjusted its aim, learning from the first one's mistake. But Biol was already there, tearing the machine apart before it could shoot. 3 drones left. They spread out, trying to surround Biol. Smart tactics. The creature had trained against scenarios like this hundreds of times. But the drones had made one mistake. They thought Biol was fighting alone. A rock flew from the cabin window and hit one drone's sensor array. The machine spun, confused. Jiwoo, she was helping. Biol used the distraction to destroy the damaged drone. 2 left. The creature grabbed one and threw it at the other. Both machines crashed together and fell, broken. Hyunwoo's face went red. "You taught it to work with humans? K7, what have you become?" "I have become free," Biol said. The officer pressed a button on the new collar. It activated, sending out a signal meant to cause pain through Biol's neural pathways. The creature felt it, a pressure in its mind, an echo of old suffering, but it was not connected to the collar anymore. The signal passed through Biol like wind through trees, uncomfortable but not crippling. Hyunwoo stared at the collar in his hand. "Impossible. You should be on the ground screaming." "I have learned to endure worse things than pain," Biol said. "I have learned what it feels like to be cared for. Once you know that, pain becomes just pain. It cannot control you anymore." The officer threw the collar down. "Fire!" he ordered the 2 soldiers. Energy weapons lit up the clearing. Biol ran, dodging most of the shots. One hit its shoulder. The creature grunted but kept moving. It reached the first soldier and struck hard but carefully, disabling, not killing. The soldier fell unconscious. The second soldier backed away, still firing. Biol caught the weapon's next shot on its armored forearm and closed the distance. Another strike. Another unconscious soldier. Only Hyunwoo remained. The officer pulled out his personal weapon, a plasma pistol that could burn through armor. "You were my project," he said. His voice shook. "I spent 5 years training you, breaking you, building you into the perfect killer. And you throw it all away for what? For a human child? For sentiment? For friendship," Biol corrected. "For family. For the chance to choose who I want to be." Hyunwoo fired. The plasma bolt hit Biol in the chest. The creature fell to one knee, smoke rising from the burned scales. Pain exploded through its body. Real pain this time. Not the artificial sting of a shock collar. But Jiwoo was watching from the cabin. Jiwoo, who had fed it and named it and called it family. Biol would not fall. could not fall. The creature stood back up. Hyunwoo fired again. Byol caught the officer's arm and squeezed. Not enough to break, but enough to make him drop the weapon. Hyunwoo's eyes went wide with fear. For the first time, he looked at his creation and saw not a weapon, but something dangerous in a different way, something that had learned to think for itself. "You will not hurt her," Byol said quietly. "You will leave this place. And you will not come back," Hyunwoo laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You think this is over? You think Commander Taemin will just let you go? He is already on his way here with a full assault team. You and that girl are dead. Both of you." Byol released the officer and stepped back. "Then we will fight when he comes. But today you leave." Hyunwoo stumbled to his ship. The unconscious soldiers were dragged aboard by automated systems. The drones remained in pieces in the snow. As the ship lifted off, Hyunwoo leaned out the door. "You are making a mistake, K7. You cannot win. You are one weapon against the entire Vrin military." "I am not a weapon anymore," Byol called back. "I am Byol, and I am not alone." The ship disappeared into the sky. Byol stood in the clearing, breathing hard. The burn on its chest hurt badly, but it had won. Jiwoo was safe. The cabin door burst open. Jiwoo ran out and threw her arms around Byol's waist. "You are hurt," she said. Tears ran down her face. "You are hurt because of me." Byol carefully put its arms around the girl. "I am hurt because I chose to protect you." "That is different. That is a choice I would make again." Jiwoo looked up at the creature. He said, "More are coming. A commander with an assault team. We cannot fight them all." "No," Byol agreed. "We cannot. Then what do we do?" Byol was quiet for a moment. Then it remembered something. The cabin had an old radio. Jiwoo's grandmother had kept it for emergencies. The human resistance used radios to communicate. If Byol could reach them, could tell them what it knew about Vrin tactics and technology, maybe they would help. "Maybe. Come inside," Byol said. "I have an idea." In the cabin, Byol found the radio. It was old, but still working. The creature had been programmed with all human communication frequencies. It knew the resistance channels. Byol turned on the radio and spoke in Korean, the language it had learned from Jiwoo. This is Byol. I am a Vrin weapon that has defected. I have intelligence about Vrin military operations. I need help. There is a human girl with me. We are in the mountains of Gangwon province. The Vrin are coming to kill us. Please, if anyone can hear this, please respond." Silence. Just static. Byol was about to try again when a voice crackled through the speaker. "This is Captain Dayun of the Human Resistance. Repeat your message. Did you say you are a Vrin weapon?" Hope flared in Byol's chest. "Yes, I was created by the Vrin to fight humans. But I do not want to fight anymore. I want to help. I have information about their technology, their tactics, their future plans. I can help you." Another voice came on the radio. "Male, suspicious. This could be a trap, Captain. Why would a Vrin weapon turn against its creators?" "Because they are not my creators," Byol said. "They are my slavers. They kept me in pain and darkness and only let me exist to serve them. But a human showed me kindness, showed me there is more to life than war. I chose to be free. And now I choose to fight with you, not against you." Silence again. Then Captain Daun spoke. "Where exactly are you?" Jiwoo took the radio. "I can give you coordinates. Please hurry. My friend is injured, and more Vrin are coming." "Your friend?" the captain asked. "The weapon is your friend?" "Yes," Jiwoo said firmly. "Byol saved my life. Protected me. Byol is my family." More silence. Byol could imagine the resistance fighters looking at each other, trying to decide if this was real or a Vrin trick. Finally, the captain spoke again. "We are sending a team. Give us the coordinates. But understand this, if this is a trap, if you are leading us into an ambush, we will show no mercy." "It is not a trap," Byol said. "I promise." Jiwoo gave them the location. The captain said they would arrive within the hour. The radio went silent. Byol and Jiwoo looked at each other. "Do you think they will help us?" Jiwoo asked. "I do not know," Byol admitted. "But it is our only chance. When Commander Taemin comes, we will need allies." Jiwoo nodded and then went to find medical supplies for Byol's burn. As she cleaned the wound, the creature looked around the small cabin. This place had become home. These walls had given it shelter. This girl had given it purpose. Byol would fight to protect both, not because it was programmed to. Not because of orders or missions or shock collars, but because it was the right thing to do. Because that is what family did. They protected each other. Outside, the sun set behind the mountains. Night came to the valley, and somewhere above, Vryn ships prepared for battle. The war had found this peaceful place, found this cabin and this girl and this creature who dared to choose peace. But Bayal was done running from who it was made to be. Now it would run toward who it chose to be. A protector, a friend, a member of a family. And if that meant fighting, then so be it. The weapon had learned to love, and there was nothing more dangerous than that. The resistance arrived just as Bayal said they would. 3 vehicles stopped outside the cabin. Soldiers jumped out, weapons raised. They wore mismatched armor and carried modified weapons. This was not a professional military. These were ordinary people who had lost everything to the Vryn and chose to fight back. Captain Dayun stepped forward. She was tall with short hair and hard eyes that had seen too much war. Next to her stood a man with a scarred face. Sergeant Jae Sung. He pointed his weapon directly at Byul. "That is the weapon?" Dayun asked. "I am Byul," the creature said. "And yes, I was a weapon. But I am trying to be something different now." Jae Sung did not lower his gun. "You have killed humans. I can see it in the way you move. You are a trained killer." "Yes," Byul admitted. There was no point in lying. "I was trained to kill, but I have not killed any humans. I refused my mission. I chose a different path." Jiwoo stepped between Jae Sung's gun and Byul. The soldier's eyes went wide. "Move, kid. That thing is dangerous." "Byul would never hurt me," Jiwoo said. "And if you want to shoot, you will have to shoot through me first." Daun raised her hand. "Lower your weapon, Jae Sung." She looked at Jiwoo with something like respect. "You are very brave. Or very foolish. Maybe both." Her eyes moved to Byul. "You said you have intelligence about Vryn operations." "Everything," Byul said. "Their base locations, supply routes, technology weaknesses, future invasion plans. I was created to be their perfect weapon. They put all that information in my head. Now I want to give it to you." The captain studied Byul for a long moment. "Why, what do you want in return?" "Safety for Jiwoo. She is innocent. She did nothing but show kindness to a lost creature. When the Vryn come for me, I want her to be far away. Protected." Jiwoo grabbed Byul's arm. "No, I am not leaving you." "You must," Byul said gently. "Commander Taemin is coming. He will bring weapons designed to kill things like me. You will not be safe here." "Then we both leave," Jiwoo insisted. "Together." Daun looked between the girl and the creature. Something in her expression softened. "We can protect you both. But we need to move now. Our base is hidden deep in the mountains. The Vryn have not found it yet. We can take you there." "And you will let Byul come?" Jiwoo asked. "You will not put it in a cage or treat it like the Vryn did?" "I make no promises except this," Daun said. "If the information is good, if this Byul truly wants to help us, then we can talk about trust. But trust takes time." Byul nodded. "That is fair. I do not expect trust. I only ask for a chance." They packed quickly. Jiwoo took only a few things. Some clothes, her favorite books, a picture of her family. Everything else stayed behind in the cabin. As they left, she looked back at the little wooden house that had been her home. Tears ran down her face. Byul put a hand on her shoulder. "We will come back someday, when the war is over. I promise." The journey to the resistance base took 3 hours on rough mountain roads. Byul rode in the back of a reinforced transport. Soldiers watched it constantly. The creature did not blame them. Trust had to be earned. The base was hidden inside an old mining complex. Tunnels went deep into the mountain. Hundreds of people lived here. Fighters, engineers, medics, families. They had built a whole community in the darkness. When Byul entered, everyone stopped and stared. Children pointed. Adults reached for weapons. Dawn held up her hand. "This is Byul, a Vryn weapon that has defected. It is under my protection while we verify its information. Anyone who harms it will answer to me." She led them to a command center deep in the complex. Maps covered the walls. Computer screens showed Vryn ship movements. A dozen resistance leaders were already there, waiting. They looked at Byul with fear and suspicion. "Start talking," Daun said. "Tell us everything." And Byul did. For hours, the creature shared every piece of intelligence in its database. Base locations, shield frequencies, weapon specifications, Commander Taemin's tactical preferences, the Vryn's plans to create more biological weapons, their supply lines, their communication codes, everything. The resistance leaders took notes, asked questions. cross-referenced the information with what they already knew. Slowly, their expressions changed from suspicion to shock to hope. "This is real," one leader said. "If even half of this information is accurate, we could turn the tide of this war." Jae-sung spoke up. "Or it is an elaborate trap. We use this information, attack a base, and walk into an ambush. Then test it," Bial said. "Pick a small target." "A supply depot. I will tell you how to disable their defenses. If I am lying, you will know immediately. But if I'm telling the truth, you get supplies and proof that I want to help." Da-Yun considered this. "There is a supply depot 200 kilometers north. We have been watching it for weeks but could not figure out how to breach their shields. The shield generators have a recycling cycle every 6 hours, Bial said. For 40 seconds, they are vulnerable. If you attack during that window with an electromagnetic pulse, the whole system goes down. Then you have 12 minutes before backup generators activate." The captain looked at her team. "We could verify this within 24 hours. She turned to Bial. "If you are wrong or if this is a trap, you and the girl will be put in restraints until we figure out what to do with you." "Understood," Bial said. They gave Bial and Jiwoo a small room to share. It had 2 beds, a table, and a door that locked from the outside. Jiwoo collapsed on one bed, exhausted. Bial sat on the floor. The creature was too large for the beds anyway. "Do you think they will trust us?" Jiwoo asked. "Eventually," Bial said. "But first we must prove ourselves. That is how trust works." Jiwoo was quiet for a moment. "I miss the cabin." "I do too. Do you think we will really go back someday?" Bial looked at the girl. She was so young. She had already lost so much. The creature would not lie to her. "I do not know what the future holds, but I promise I will try to keep you safe. And when this war ends, however it ends, we will find a place where you can be happy again." Jiwoo smiled a little. "We will find it together. Because we are family." "Yes," Bial agreed. "We are family." The next day, a resistance team attacked the supply depot using Bial's information. The shield went down exactly when the creature said it would. The team got in, took supplies, and got out with 0 casualties. When they returned to base, the whole place erupted in celebration. It was the first completely successful raid in months. Daeun came to Bial's room that evening. She looked different. Less suspicious. Almost friendly. "Your information was perfect. We got medical supplies, food, ammunition. Enough to keep this base running for 3 months. She paused. "I owe you an apology. I did not believe you would truly help us." "You had no reason to believe me," Bial said. "I am glad I could prove my intentions. The other leaders want to meet with you. Plan more operations. But first I need to ask, why are you really doing this? What do you get out of helping us?" Bial looked at Jiwoo, who was reading one of her books in the corner. "I get to protect someone I care about. I get to choose my own purpose. And maybe if we win this war, I get to find out what it means to truly be free." Daeun followed Bial's gaze to Jiwoo. Understanding showed in her eyes. "You love that kid?" "Yes," Bial said simply. "She showed me that I was more than a weapon. Now I want to build a world where she can grow up without fear." The captain nodded slowly. "Then we want the same thing." "Welcome to the resistance, Bial." Over the next weeks, Bial became an essential part of the resistance. The creature planned operations, trained fighters in Vrin tactics, and even went on missions. But it never killed. Bial had made a promise to itself and to Jiwoo. It would fight, but it would not become the weapon it was made to be. The creature disabled enemies, destroyed equipment, protected its team, but it did not take lives. The resistance fighters noticed. They started to trust Bial more, started to see it as one of them rather than a dangerous tool. Jiwoo thrived in the base. She helped in the medical center, read to the younger children, and became friends with many of the fighters. She smiled more, laughed more. Bial would watch her and feel that warmth in its chest. The warmth that it had learned was happiness. Then one day alarms rang through the base. Vrin ships had been spotted. Many ships. An assault fleet. Scouts reported that Commander Taemin himself was leading the attack. They had found the resistance base. Da-Yun called an emergency meeting. "We need to evacuate. Get everyone out through the north tunnels." "There is not enough time," Jae-sung said. "They will catch us in the open." Bial stepped forward. "I will buy you time. I will face Taemin. He is here for me. If I confront him, it might delay the assault long enough for everyone to escape." "That is suicide," Daeun said. "You cannot fight an entire fleet alone." "I do not need to win. I just need to make him focus on me instead of you. Biol looked at Jiwoo. The girl's eyes were wide with fear. Get everyone out, especially Jiwoo. Keep her safe. No, Jiwoo ran to Biol. You cannot do this. You will die. Maybe, Biol admitted, but you will live. That is more important. Tears streamed down Jiwoo's face. You promised we would find a place to be happy together. You promised. Biol knelt down to look Jiwoo in the eyes. And I will keep that promise. But first you need to live long enough for us to find it. Trust the captain. She will keep you safe.